Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me here at Inward Somatic Studio. I'm Tracy and I will be your somatic guide today. What we're going to get into today is some really deep stretching that bridges the mind and the muscle, which is hopefully going to lower your stress levels, bring that anxiety down. It's really going to ground you in your space. And it's also really going to open up those connections between your brain and your body, which is kind of the basic building blocks of somatics. So we're going to really put those pathways to work to really center yourself in your body, which can have profound psychological effects, especially if you're doing it in a positive, intentional way, which I really hope you are, and I'll guide you through it. Today's main focus for our stretch is going to be pigeon. So if you struggle with pigeon, skip this video, go somewhere else. But at the same time, if you are comfortable enough in pigeon, stick in. We'll make some modifications for you. And remember that this type of yoga is really about exploration. So it's not about achieving the perfect pigeon pose. It's about finding the sensation within pigeon, exploring it, figuring it out, and then also finding ease, relaxation, and actually the dopamine release within that pose. So let's get started. Real quick, because I was noticing my body needs a little bit of warm up, I'm going to do a quick down dog just to kind of get my muscles moving, and then I'm going to move into pigeon. Do as you see fit. If you want to just jump into pigeon, by all means. Otherwise, I'll meet you in down dog. So, basic down dog. I'm not a yoga master by any stretch. Those y'all that are, feel free to critique me in my comments below. But basically, you want your hip up in the sky. And whether or not you want your legs bent or straight. If I'm doing a down dog, I'm not holding it. As you can see, this is not a static hold. I'm really, I'm doing some kind of cat-cow actions here within my down dog. I'm kind of pedaling out my legs, so I'm feeling that stretch in my calf. Not holding anything too long, but I am moving slowly through it. So I know I'm not going to injure any of these muscles, especially if I'm moving a little bit funny, which is kind of inherent in what we do here. All right, so with that, one more. Remember, in this somatic yoga, it's really important to follow what your body is telling you. So if you feel like you need something, do it. All right, pigeon. This right leg is going to come up, knee behind the wrist in front. Pop. All right, so this is our basic pigeon, right? Now, in a traditional pose, we're going to put toes down. We're going to settle in here into this hip. We want the left and right hip to be even across. So if you need, you can put a bolster, towel, blanket underneath to support that hip. Again, if this is not comfortable for you, try like a 90-90 or I love me a fire log. What's most important here in this pose is to not allow this knee to feel tweaked. This knee should feel solid. So if the knee hurts, back out of it, okay? So if you are comfortable, get down on these elbows. And while we are honoring our classic yoga poses, as we nerd out in each pose, we're going to go through those 4 letters, right? N-E-R-D. So we're going to start with N, which is notice and name. So as you kind of sit in this pose and gather your thoughts, I want you to notice the sensations that your body feels. My body is still slightly breathless from moving through my downward dog and talking about what I'm doing. But that's not really what I'm focusing on. What I notice is I feel this pull right across kind of these adductors here, right along my quad, that right quad. And as I rock deeper into this right hip, which again is not a classic yoga holding pose. This hip is like, I don't know if I can see that, but it's quite off, especially with this hip almost touching the ground here. That starts getting deep into this, almost into the socket, deep into that, I think it's a rotator, external rotator under your glute. But that feels like an interesting pull. So it's that kind of a sensation that I want to notice and name. So I'm noticing that external rotator tug. But I don't want to stop at tug, right? Tug is kind of basic. How would I classify that tug? That tug feels like a strong pull on a kite. Yeah. It's kind of variable. It's not stable, but it doesn't hurt. It doesn't feel dangerous. It feels like you could pluck it. Now notice, as I notice and name that sensation, it's at minimum a neutral statement. If it's positive, fantastic. If you're like, oh, that feels good, which we all know is kind of the goal, the end goal of this, say that. But at minimum, these sensations must be neutral. If you find a pain point, so be it. Note it. It's important to note those too. But any comment that you're going to make, name, notice, okay, that you're going to make about what you're feeling, make the intention to make it, that's a lot of makes in that sentence, be intentional about that comment being neutral at minimum or positive. So to notice and name. I've noticed and named that sensation in that glute. So while we're here in pigeon, I'm also going to move on to our E, which is expand and explore. So you'll, I'm sure, have noticed that I'm not static here in pigeon. I'm kind of rocking this hip. I do that for a couple reasons, but mostly because it is, because I just do this, I make videos on this. This is what I do. I'm already sinking into the expand and exploring. I'm feeling already within this pigeon what else I can feel. Now, an easy expansion is I'm going to start twisting. I'm going to start seeing just kind of what I can feel. I already feel my pigeon starting to time out because I'm starting to lose some feeling, some tingly toes. So I'll probably kind of expand more on the E here on the other side, and that's fine. Believe it or not, you're already doing the things that I'm going to tell you we're doing on the other side. But see how I'm not centered. I'm catty corner here to the left because I found a different spot. If you find a spot, stay there and breathe into it and say, oh, that feels nice. All right, I'm going to roll out of this pigeon. Sorry, back to the camera. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, as you come out of these deep stretches, please be aware that you've put your muscles in a pretty darn vulnerable state. So be gentle with your body. No quick movements here. While this deep stretching is really positive stressing on your body that is actually very good for it, you are pushing it a little bit farther than it's used to, which makes it vulnerable to injury. So just move slowly, gently. All right, so we're gonna pigeon on our other leg now. Oof. All right, quick cat-cow, because I feel like I need it. Again, listen to your body. Didn't get into those shoulders earlier. All right, So right leg is going to come up. I'm sorry, this is a left leg. Left leg coming up behind the left wrist. And I kind of settle backwards into my pigeon. All right, so as you settle into pigeon, notice a name while I'm chatting at you, and also begin to expand and explore. The other part that we're going to do here in these poses is we're going to reset and relax. So in this position, especially if you're kind of more in a static, you're not quite as moving in ADHD as I am, we're going to find a nice deep place in pigeon. Where again, healthy stretch, no pain. Healthy stretch. Happy stretch. And I want you to think about relaxing a muscle. Doesn't matter which muscle. In pigeon, I often find my shoulder blades can relax. Usually that means I'm going to lay down even deeper. I'm not going to because that's going to sound really weird in the microphone. But you can. Please do. I want you to do a miniature body scan and find a muscle that you can release. You can say, hey, tap out, buddy. You're done. I found I was holding my triceps. Didn't mean to. Now, granted, if you are looking at this video, which if you are not, don't start now. You're doing great. Focus on you. I'm just here to guide you. I'm sitting propped up on my elbows, right? So you're like, well, yeah, you're using your triceps a little bit. You're right. But I don't have to use the entire muscle. This is what I'm talking about. We're talking about like finding one fiber that you can release. Doesn't matter which one. Pick one. And when you find that release and you let go, you'll be surprised how often other groups of muscles will relax with you. Especially if you breathe out that relax. Like if you find that muscle and to relax it, you breathe out. You'll find other bunches of muscles, other groups of muscles will join in, which is kind of cool. The other part of the R, and it's more of a suggestion, is repeat. So if you find in your expansion and exploration a different spot that feels nice and you want to reset and relax in a different position, by all means, go do. This is your practice. It's I'm just here to say, hey, did you remember to nerd out? Did you remember to notice a name? Did you remember to expand and explore? Oh. So I'm just coming to sit kind of cross-legged. Sit however you want. So finally, we're going to come to our D in nerd out, which is our daily dopamine digest. I'm going to sit quietly for just a few minutes. I want you to tune in to your body. I want you to feel your heart beating in your chest. Just notice it. Notice that it's doing its job. And see if you can't feel the effects of your heart doing its job in other parts of your body. Can you feel the beat of your heart in your fingertips? Can you feel it in your toes? If you're not sure if you can, imagine that you can. Imagine that as your fingers are touching, imagine you can feel the heartbeat between the pads of your fingers. I want you to do another round of notice and name as we sit here quite stilly, which I realize is odd for many of us. Do a quick body scan, and we're not in any particular stretch, so it doesn't matter what you notice. Notice a sensation in your body, neutral or positive. Something hurts, take notice, but set it aside. It's not what we're focusing on right now. I notice for myself that my heart feels bright. It feels like, it's not a word I can describe, but I have an immediate image. It's like, the animation in Inside Out, Joy's skin, that it's like kind of poppy. I think it's actually all the emotions, all their skins like kind of pops. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. But that's what it feels like. And I say, that's amazing. How wonderful it is to feel like that. And that is sending a positive message to my brain. It's a physical sensation that is positive in my brain. My brain is receiving that as a positive message and is sending that back down to my muscles saying, hey, dude, I feel that too. That's cool. What wonderful circuitry that is. My body and my brain experiencing this singular moment. How wonderful that is. That, my friend, is dopamine. That you are acknowledging and seeing in this moment. And this is a moment you can come back to at any time. Thank you for coming back to it today. I hope you take this dopamine with you. And I look forward to seeing you next time. See you next time.